Are you thinking about taking a break from alcohol? Whether it's for sober October or a different month in the year, if you watch this video, I'm gonna give you 5 benefits rooted in science, rooted in anecdotal experience from myself and clients when you take an extended break from alcohol. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Klingen, and with Return of the Athlete, our goal is to help you activate the athlete inside of you so that you can lose the weight, perform better in training, and feel better mentally and physically. So let's dive into it. The first benefit from taking a break from alcohol is going to be improvement in your cognitive function. So alcohol is going to target the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for controlling impulsive behavior. Your prefrontal cortex is responsible for the executive functioning, decision-making part of your mind. When you shut that down, you start increasing impulsive behavior in the short and long term. So if you struggle with eating junk food, with not hitting the snooze button, with not going to the gym, with scrolling social media, or any other habits that are impulsive that you wouldn't want to do typically, having alcohol is going to make it harder for you to do that. But if you cut alcohol out, you're going to increase your body and really your brain's ability to find baseline and not do those things. And what's happening when you drink alcohol, you're actually changing the neural circuitry and grooving in a lot of those same habits and behaviors that you don't want to do. So it might take you taking a break from alcohol from anywhere from 2 to 6 months to get that neural network to shift back to where it was prior to your alcohol consumption. And that's something that I learned from the Huberman Lab podcast where he talked about alcohol. And in this study, it references taking a break from anywhere from 1 to 2 months to start to see those changes in your brain circuitry. One of the other things I found interesting is that alcohol is actually going to suppress memory formation and storage. And with this study in 2003, it simply stated alcohol primarily disrupts the ability to form new long-term memories. So in conclusion, taking a break from alcohol is actually going to allow your brain to change so you can have more discipline, have more motivation, have more impulse control, so you can stop sabotaging yourself and start doing the things that you know you need and want to do to go and pursue greatness within yourself. The next benefit is going to be with your mental health. Now, alcohol has a dramatic impact on the neurons that control the release of serotonin, which is responsible for your mood, perceived well-being, and perceived self-image. When alcohol is consumed, it's going to disrupt the mood circuitries, initially making them really hyperactive. So you're going to get a really good feeling after 1-2 drinks, but beyond that, you're going to get diminishing returns. We're going to go get that drink, but after the 3rd and the 4th one, it's not going to feel as good each time. And whether you're in the pattern of having 1 to 2 drinks at the end of the day or 4 to 5 drinks on the weekend to celebrate maybe an event or for sporting events, you're ultimately disrupting your serotonin production. But in addition to disrupting levels of serotonin, you're also increasing levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And you might be thinking, oh, well, I go and have a drink to relax. And for a moment, yeah, you might be pulling back that pendulum saying, hey, I'm relaxed. This is a relaxing feeling. I'm no longer feeling the anxiety. But as soon as that pendulum swings back, that's ultimately what you're going to feel with anxiety on Sunday scaries or for the following days after. And that's because cortisol is now being released at a higher level at baseline. And now the brain and the body are incredibly adaptive systems. And one of the ways that it adapts to a pattern of drinking is going to be at the HPA axis. And the H is going to stand for your hypothalamus, which is located in your brain. Then you have the P, which is going to be your pituitary. That is going to control the release of hormones. From there, you have your adrenal glands, which is going to be things like releasing adrenaline, cortisol. And when this relationship is disrupted from something like alcohol, it is going to disrupt ultimately how you perceive stress at baseline. So with this, you're going to see short-term and long-term changes to how this relationship with the HPA axis goes. You're going to see higher levels of baseline cortisol, which is going to lead to you feeling like you are anxious, feeling anxiety more often. Then you're going to see the disruption of serotonin, which you talked about a little bit earlier. That's impacting your mood, your well-being, your self-image, and how you perceive yourself. That is going to lead to more depression. And then you have these long-term changes as well at the brain that we talked about in the previous benefit, where now you are in this cycle of needing more alcohol in order to get back to a baseline feeling of just feeling okay, which leads you into this negative spiral. And this is something you'll see in studies as well. Alterations in the HPA axis, SAM system, and HPG axis interact to take the prefrontal cortex offline, resulting in a failure to maintain homeostasis and a concomitant decrease in the function of normal reward and stress-related neurocircuitry. So in conclusion, by taking the time to take a break from alcohol, you're gonna allow this system to adapt back to ultimately what healthy and homeostasis is, where it wants to be. And anytime you stress a system left or right on a spectrum, it's going to be uncomfortable in the short term. So you might experience that as you're taking a break from alcohol, but know that on the other side of that stress is you feeling so much better from a mental health standpoint. The next benefit is going to be seen with your gut health. So I'll tell a quick story. When I was 13 years old, I was playing in this field and we were on a family vacation, a bunch of aunts and uncles, we were out, and there was a section where they were having a picnic. It was covered and there was concrete where the tables were for the picnic. And at one point I ran a little bit past where I was trying to run, slid, smoked my knee into an exposed corner, and what ultimately led to a huge scar, a ton of blood. And at the time, in order to disinfect that area, my mom poured a ton of hydrogen peroxide. And if you ever remember at any point having any scars, having any cuts, anything that you would have required hydrogen peroxide, you know that it's incredibly painful. Well, what's ultimately happening is you're pouring alcohol on it to kill any bacteria, kill any infection that could possibly happen to that area. And that's what alcohol does. It kills bacteria. If you want to sterilize something, pour alcohol on it. But this wreaks havoc on your gut health because inside of your gut, you have trillions of good bacteria that make up your gut microbiota. And so when you go and metabolize alcohol, that's going to lead to chronic inflammation in the gut. It's going to kill all of the good bacteria, which can lead to things like leaky gut, which could ultimately end up with bad bacteria getting into your bloodstream. This is going to then pass along to things like bowel movement issues, nutrient absorption issues, you feeling bloated, you being gassy, because your gut is just being destroyed. Your gut microbiome is being destroyed by alcohol. So another thing I found really interesting studying this was the gut-liver-brain axis. So your brain and your gut are communicating and sending chemical signals back and forth via the vagus nerve. And they're also communicating with your liver. And I want to read you this quote out of the Institute for Liver and Digestive Diseases. It says there are growing numbers of studies that focus on the modulation of the gut microbiome through probiotic treatment and fecal transplant in order to treat anxiety, depression, and other forms of mental illness in humans. This signifies that modulatory treatment of the gut microbiome or abstinence from alcohol may have beneficial effects on alcohol use disorder by targeting the gut-liver-brain axis. Withdrawal of alcohol improves systemic inflammation by decreasing lipopolysaccharides and other pro-inflammatory cytokines, thus enhancing mood and cognition while decreasing alcohol dependence. But it's reinforcing the benefits mentioned in benefit 1 and 2 with your cognitive function and your mental health. Those 3 reasons alone sound like great reasons to take a break from alcohol. But wait, there's more. The 4th benefit from taking a break from alcohol is going to be seen in your performance, both in bed and in training. And now sleep, even after 1 drink, is not the same sleep as if you didn't have any alcohol in your system. Even 1 drink is going to lead to a hangover the next day, whether that's you feeling tired, you feeling nauseous, having a headache, or some form of anxiety the following day after drinking. We've all had the Sunday scaries. That is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about anxiety. And a lot of times alcohol is used as a sleep aid. Someone will use alcohol to go to bed, but alcohol is a sedative. And being sedated is not the same as going to sleep. And so it's not a sleep aid, it's actually a tool for sedation. And during your sleep, you're not actually going to get the full deep sleep that you need. Alcohol is going to disrupt your sleep. You're going to wake up more times throughout the night. Some of that's going to be subconscious. You're not going to remember it. Some of it is conscious. I know on nights when I've drank, I've woken up, my heart's elevated, I can feel it racing, I can feel myself sweating, and I'm waking up more times throughout the night. When that's happening, that's impacting my ability, or your ability if you're drinking, to get to deep sleep and deep REM sleep. And if you're not getting to those stages of sleep, that's impacting your body's ability to produce the hormones of human growth hormone and testosterone, which are crucial for repairing tissue. And in the case of testosterone, in the case of performing better in bed, it's going to improve your libido for both men and women. And so by disrupting your sleep, you're disrupting your ability to perform, because sleep after performance is incredibly crucial, because it's after performance, it's after training, it's after doing something that is hard, that breaks the body down, where the body needs to go and deal with chronic inflammation. And it needs these hormones to go and repair the tissue that has been damaged. And if you want to check out more on this, I recommend you check out the podcast that Andrew Huberman did on the Huberman Lab with Dr. Matthew Walker, where they break down everything you need to know about sleep. And if any of you have ever really tracked your sleep and recovery and performance scores, you'll have heard of WHOOP, and I found this study from WHOOP really interesting. Chronic sleep deprivation has been correlated with a 68% greater risk of sport-related injury over the course of a 21-month period when compared to athletes with similar training loads who get a sufficient amount of nightly sleep. So if you're drinking and that's impacting your sleep, that's going to impact your ability to recover and ultimately impact your ability to avoid injury. So the benefit here, and ultimately in conclusion, the thing that removing alcohol is going to help you do is it's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you recover better. It's going to help you improve your performance, increase your performance. And when you can stack good performance weeks, good performance months on top of each other, that's going to allow you to compound